Welcome to the Daily Beast podcast. I'm Joanna Coles. I'm the Chief Content Officer of the Daily Beast.
And I am Samantha Bee. I'm the Chief Content Officer of Lauren Boebert's Spray Tan. So intense. Did you see her?
So many spray tans. What about Melania spray tan?
Everybody is just espresso. It is like just Rachel Dolezal all over again, all over the room. I could not believe it. And you know what? I wanted to say thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers to that one woman from the GOP who also wore hot pink and did not get the memo about the resistance.
Who is that? It was Laura. I wrote down, it's Laurel Lee from Florida.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I loved it.
It was very hot Florida pink. Mm-hmm. So for people who haven't listened to the podcast before, first of all, why not? But it's important to know that the reason we do this is every week we dissect the people and the stories of the week that we're obsessed by at the Daily Beast.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of obsessions this week.
We're going to start off with the biggest TV event in the country. No, not the Oscars and not the presidential address, which we will be discussing with Ben Meiselas from Midas Touch Network, which just knocked Joe Rogan off the top of the podcast charts. Congratulations, Ben. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about Meghan Markle's new Netflix show, With Love. Yes. So much to discuss. And since I last saw you, of course, Elon's had another baby.
Yes. Oh, I can't remember what the baby's name is, and I would never.
I can remember because I've got a list of all his children's names, which I would like to do as a formal reading.
That's nice.
Can I do a formal reading? What are we doing first? Meghan, formal reading of Elon's kids.
Well, I feel that we should but we should do first impressions from last night, which we are taping this on a Wednesday morning. So first impressions from the presidential address last night. What do you think?
I would rather focus on Alyssa Slotnick's response. Mm-hmm. I was not hopeful, and I just thought, wow, I actually found Trump's speech magnificent television. I found it too long, and we'll go into this with Ben Meiselas. Mm-hmm. But I did find bits of it rousing, and a bit at the end about the pioneers. I mean, I'm I don't even want to say it out loud. I am a naturalized citizen, or whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. I think actually they call it a person of exceptional alien intelligence. But I found all that stuff rousing. The pioneers, Shenandoah, I'm also appalled by the fact that I find it rousing. But what I did like was Alyssa Slotnick's Michigan... Slotkin, sorry. What did I say? Slotnick, sorry. What am I've had 3 cups of coffee this morning. I'm out of control. I'm taking prednisone. It's just a disaster.
Boy.
I found her response grounded, intelligent, reassuring, normal. I'm like, come on, Democrats, you can do it. I didn't like the paddles. It made me feel like they were trying to auction off something. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, that paddle thing's not working for you. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the guy who walked out. It's like either all walk out, but one guy sort of shouting, we can't hear what you're shouting. Mm-hmm. It's like, sit down already and just watch what's happening.
Mm-hmm. I liked her too. I like that Trump seems very fearful of the women of Michigan, as I also learned from reading Michael Walsh's terrific book about him, that he is terrified of Gretchen Whitmer, and I certainly approve that message.
Can I make a small point here too?
Yes.
We've talked a lot about Jeff Bezos bending the knee and him stripping the Washington Post of its sort of op-ed editor. But of course, the other thing that Jeff Bezos likes even more than he likes democracy is money. And Amazon is, interestingly, the biggest purveyor of all the anti-Trump books.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? I like that. He must be really dancing on a knife edge there.
Well, he definitely worships the god of money and money alone. So that kind of tracks for me.
Right.
I found the speech sort of, nothing was surprising to me. It was very consistent with everything he said, just a bunch of culture war bullshit with some kind of warmed over insult comedy, a bunch of feckless dolts clapping their faces off, half of them too dumb to pound sand, half of them don't even know where babies come from, but meanwhile they're like, yeah, Lesotho, who's ever heard of that country? Oh.
Can I just point out, Usha Vance is a mini clapper. She barely claps. She's got like a weird little...
Tiny clap.
Tiny clap.
Little baby
tiny
hands.
clapper, tiny dancer. It's weird. It's weird. She's like, she looked to me like she'd lost a lot of weight too.
Speaking of J.D. Vance, I will say that anyone who... any one of us should invite teenagers into our room when we are watching these presidential addresses because they cut to the chase so quickly. My son, who's 16, came into the room and in a microsecond identified that J.D. Vance absolutely loathes Donald Trump. And like, it took him, he's a body language expert. 16-year-olds are body language experts. He was able to to read so many signifiers of body language in 1 second flat.
Well, we had a wonderful photo in the Beast this morning of just the entire cabinet mid-clap.
Okay.
And it's just, I mean, it was astonishing. I mean, you've got the Joint Chiefs of Staff, you've got the Chief Justices, you've got the cabinet, and they're all mid-clap. It's just, what I found surprising was just the energy in the House and the extraordinary flatness of the Democrats and just this sense of, I mean, they panned to some of them and some of them looked like they were asleep. There was no coherent response other than wearing pink for the ladies.
And yeah, I'm not giving into, I kind of woke up this morning and I thought, you know what, I'm not giving into these provocations. Doge is a mess. The stock market is spasming. Veterans are losing their jobs. The agricultural sector is absolutely freaking out. He's going to crater on tariffs because a new car is going to cost like $8,000 more overnight. So my general impression is, all right, you did this. It's time to grow up. Pull your pants up because you're the government. Time to govern. And you're not doing a good job already. And we're about 40 days in. So afterwards, I needed a palate cleanser. So guess what I watched?
I know what you watched. Did you self-soothe with Meghan Markle?
I self-soothed with 3 episodes of Meghan Markle's new show. I know you have strong impressions. I know you have strong thoughts.
I do have strong thoughts, and I don't want to join the chorus of negativity around this. But this is, I would just say one thing. This is not a television show. This is an Instagram feed. And unfortunately, you can't spread it over 41 minutes. And you cannot have the first episode with your makeup artist / friend.
Right.
He's not interesting enough. I'm sure he's a very good makeup artist. He is not a television star, and neither is she. She's an actress. And if Meghan had good advisors around her, they would say, Meghan, we love you. Go back to doing what you do, which is reading a script, being part of an ensemble cast. She never, as Tina Brown so cruelly says in her book, The Palace Papers, she never got above number 6 on the call sheet. But she was great at number 6 on the call sheet.
Right.
And don't torture your poor friend Mindy Kaling. Can you imagine the call that Mindy Kaling must have had? Because she must have some Netflix show coming up or something. And they're like, hey, Mindy, we need you to do us a favor. Can you go over and have tea with Meghan, pretend to eat her cake, pretend to love her frittata, that she puts flowers on and weird seasonings, and ask some questions about it, because we need you to do us a,
Joanna,
we need you to do us a favor.
You blew the barn doors off. I don't really have too much to add to that. That is
that was a lot, wasn't it?
Ditto. It doesn't. It's not really a show, and they're not really making anything. I think, like, authentically, she seems to like all of those snacks and things that she's doing. But
I don't think she's eating those snacks.
Nobody's eating them. I mean, like, literally, no one is eating them. No one barely takes a bite of the food. It's not really, I mean, a piece of bread with cream cheese on it is not really a sandwich per se that I would need instructions on. So I'm not sure who it's for exactly.
Well, it's for the Instagram crowd, right? It's for people who like pretty things. I mean, when you compare it to the Martha Stewart documentary, which was masterful.
Yes.
Cutler's documentary, so good. And you see Martha getting up at 4 a.m. I mean, Martha is someone who doesn't sleep. She lives and breathes this stuff. She changed the American home. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I don't know who it's for. And I do agree with you. I think she's actually getting some. Sometimes when you have a big profile and you have teams around you who keep telling you to grab at every opportunity that comes your way, but sometimes you actually have to have the presence of mind to go, I don't think that this is a show. Like, I don't think that I have the personality to carry this. Like, it actually takes a lot to build a show around a personality.
Right.
And there's just not enough in it. And I am actually kind of personally surprised that she doesn't go down a more fashion path. Actually, she looks great in clothes, really wears them well. She has wonderful taste. I mean, it's very, it's very beigey and people are making fun of it and whatever, but she does really wear clothes well and cares deeply about that world. And so I'm actually kind of shocked that they wouldn't kind of take her down that path. It seems more logical to me. I felt a sadness because it's such a big pylon, and I think that this woman authentically, at some point in one of the episodes, she says, "I love birdsong," and I'm like, I do too. I understand what you're saying. Like, I also keep bees. I love all this. Yeah, I love
I didn't
all
know
this
you
stuff.
kept bees.
I do. I actually have more hives.
Samantha Bee keeps bees.
Well, it's very on brand, and I kind of
bees.
Yeah, and my honey is delicious. It's like very rewarding to me.
Look, can we have an eating next
do
week?
you
We
eat
should
honey?
do. Of course, I eat honey.
Oh, I'll bring you
of
a
course, I eat
jar.
honey.
I'll bring everyone a jar.
Well, I want you to bring me a piece of bread. I want you to do what Megan does: piece of bread.
I don't eat that
cream
way.
cheese.
Nobody eats that
Nobody
way.
eats that way.
I don't want a plain piece of baguette with a little streak of goat cheese on it and then a flour. When people are putting flowers on food, that means they're not eating the food because, they're technically edible, but who's like, this nasturtium is delicious. Like, there's other more delicious ways to add to food.
I will say, though, she did shame me because I am not a very good hostess. And I was thinking when she talked about preparing, one of her favourite things is to prepare the guest bedroom for a guest.
Yeah.
And when I have guests, they often come out and they say, "Do you have any soap? Do you have any? Is there any toilet roll?
Towel, please?
And I'm so bad at remembering to put that stuff. I always put towels out for people, but I do forget everything else. So I felt shamed by the fact that I don't make homemade Epsom salts for
can
people.
I take these Amazon boxes off the bed to sleep on it, or do I have to sleep on top of the empty boxes?
Yeah, that's very much, if you come to my house, poor Melora Hardin, who comes often, and she's always trotting out saying, "Joanna, do you have any soap?" She puts on she puts on a fake English accent for me. But so I did learn from that I need to prepare a little wooden tray with some homemade Epsom salts.
Yes.
And also tea bags for the bath, which I thought was a good tip.
That is a good tip. I'll take that tip on.
Yep.
When you take all of the flowers that you didn't eat on top of your crostinis, you can then put them in a little sachet and put them in the tub, and then you don't get flower petals all over your tub. I don't live this way.
I do
but
have.
I wish I did.
I do occasionally sprinkle petals into my bath, and then I'm like, at the end of the bath, damn, why did I do that? Because then you have to clear it up, and it's a nightmare.
God.
And you actually have to sieve them out. That's what she should. If she was really doing it, she would have a sieve for people.
I'm such a
so they can
pragmatic.
sieve the flowers.
I'm such a pragmatic Canadian. I'm just like, shower, swab the deck, get that washcloth on a rubbing stick, and get it over with.
Okay, I would like to point out that I am wearing my pinstripe jacket in honour of our First Lady.
Our First Lady is rocked that gray suit. And you know what occurred to me? Because if I may, my Audible show, How to Survive Menopause, is released on March 6th. And I want to recommend that Melania listen to it because I feel like she's in my age category. And we don't talk enough about how she must be perimenopausal now.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, I think she's probably menopausal, isn't she? Because perimenopausal you go into earlier.
Joanna,
I think she's going through something. Nell Scovell wrote a very good piece in The Beast this week, which I have urged everybody to read, about her morphing into a man, actually. She's just wearing business suits.
She's wearing a lot of business suits and a lot of neckties, just like me working at like Joe's Crab Shack in the 1990s. We all wore
Did you wear
our
a necktie?
shirts and our neckties and our name tags.
And can I point out, you did call it last week when you said she would be back with more Be Best. Be More Best.
I'm so excited to be being more best. I'm thrilled. I feel like it makes us more relevant than ever.
All right, it's time for an official reading of Elon's kids' names. I'm glad he's had 2 babies in the last 2 weeks. Very exciting for all of them. All right, and actually what I noticed was just a progression of insanity when it comes to their names. So we kick off with Nevada, then we have Griffin Musk.
Great.
Vivian Jenner.
Yes.
And Wilson.
Yeah.
And then we have Kai, Saxon, and Damien.
Okay.
Then we have the unpronounceable X. I don't know how to pronounce the rest of it.
Don't know the rest.
First with Grimes. Then we've got Azure and Strider.
Okay.
I quite like Strider. And then we've got Exodark Sideral Musk.
Oh, dear.
Then we've got
dear.
Techno Mechanicus.
Dear,
then
dear,
we've got
dear.
Arcadia, which is a nice name. And then we've got a child that, as far as is no name.
Okay.
And then we've got the most recent, Selden Lycurgus.
I don't think we're going in a good direction. We're in science fiction land. These are names coming out of Gormenghast. And I don't think it says good things about where his head is at. I don't know.
Does he throw his gum at his baby mamas?
Listen, I did not watch the Academy Awards, but I did watch that clip of Adrian Brody tossing his gum at Georgina Chapman. And that was the one moment that I probably had the strongest feelings about this week, because I just think people are really, you can swallow your gum. Like, grow up. Please, I'm actually admonishing Adrian Brody right now. Grow up. Be a man. Swallow your gum. I swallow my gum all the time. If you swallow
You
gum...
swallow your gum?
Of course I do, because I'm a grown-up woman and I know that my stomach acid is going to take care of it. If you swallow 10 pieces of gum, it doesn't turn into a rubber ball in your stomach. You don't have to throw it at your girlfriend and make her run around in that tight dress to catch your chewed-up, saliva-encrusted gum.
Where did it come from that you're not allowed to swallow chewing gum?
It's ridiculous. You also don't grow a watermelon in your tummy if you eat watermelon seeds, which I do because I love watermelon and I don't need to spit seeds everywhere. They get digested like cherry pits, which I also eat.
You eat cherry pits? What is going on in that stomach of yours? What is going
processing
on?
seeds and gums.
Okay,
It's
that's the show.
fine.
You need to be a guest on Megan's show. You need to eat everything. You need to eat all her
I'll do it.
all her flowers, and the
just-
Epsom salts that she puts like honey in.
I'm so sorry, but a donut with flowers on it is just not a place. It's not where I want to go with a donut. So I appreciate all the beauty. I appreciate the bees. I appreciate the bird song. I felt sad after watching 3 episodes, but never, don't you goddamn dare put a flower on a donut. That is the wrong. That is
the wrong instinct.
incorrect. We are having a donut. May we please have a donut? And secondly, and this is unpopular, a baked donut is actually not a donut. It's actually just a round cake with a hole in it. Okay? Round bread is not a bagel, and a round cake is not a donut. And that is the most important sentence you will hear me say in the rest of my life.